What about hypnotherapy?
Mhm.
I've met two hypnotherapists. Is it legit? Is it not? I've had people swear by it. I haven't really had anybody say no, it's not legit. But like, what are your thoughts on it? What have you seen in it?
So I'm master certified in hypnotherapy, amongst many
Oh,
things that I am certified in. The list is quite long. And it's because I've had for 25 years, I've just like anything I can go learn and become a master at, I'm like, yes, let's do that, right? A lot of it to heal my own issues. I love hypnotherapy. I love hypnotherapy for the fact that for many people, it allows them to slow down their conscious thinking mind, that engineering side of your head. It allows you to slow it down and quiet it so that you can actually engage with the parts of you that are what run the programs of your life. And that's really what hypnotherapy does. Hypnotherapy is not for me to talk to somebody and put them into a trance and make them bark like a dog. Now, it's not to say that those things can't happen. A lot of people have that idea or impression of hypnotherapy. That's not at all what it's about. It's about helping someone quiet the overactive parts of their mind so that they can have the deep insights they need at the deepest neurological level. That's the beauty of hypnotherapy. Right? I'm all about altered state sciences, which really connects with hypnotherapy, which is anything that has to do with meditation and taking yourself into deep altered states. If you can be in deep alpha state, you're going to experience different levels of insight. Or if you can have meditations in deep theta state, you'll have different creative insights than you would have in just your active working mind throughout the day, where you're heavy on distractions and lots of bits of information are coming at you at gangbuster speeds, right? So it's hard to have those moments. So I tell everyone, whether you want to go experience hypnotherapy or you want to experience deep meditative practice, which there's multiple types of meditation, whatever that is it because you have the goal to quiet everything and experience deep insight? That's what that will enable you to do. And we could go deeper, that you could even alter your environment through those types of scenarios. And yes, it's possible, but that's a whole nother conversation. So
what's the easiest and best type of meditation? All I ever do is sit down and I just focus on my breath.
I
And I'll do
love
that for
that.
about 20 minutes.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Are you able to quiet your mind while you're doing that? Are you able to?
Semi, but then sometimes I'll get really good thoughts. So I got to pull out my phone and write down that thought.
I love that. Okay. And do you ever find yourself having a distracting thought that you're like,
Oh,
darn
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you just got to kind of go back into it.
That. Okay. So I love that. So I want to put a big balloon around what you just said for everybody that's listening, especially those of you that are like, I can't meditate. Meditation's not for me, right? Like, whatever. Okay. Meditation is for everyone. The key, the most powerful gift within meditation is you teaching your mind that it's in control of the body. So you're able to get your mind to recognize that you got off track for a second and you recognized it and you snapped yourself back to state. That reflex motion in your brain of taking you back to state is the most powerful reflex muscle you can give yourself for focus, right? So if I'm in the middle of a project or a meeting or I'm speaking on a stage and I want to have intense focus, the best exercise I could ever do is just meditation, where all I'm doing is keeping myself focused on one thing. You're choosing breathing or breath work, right? Other people choose something else. I have a meditation I do where I count backwards from 500. It's quite challenging because you'll all of a sudden be like, was I at 460 or was I at 329 or like, right? Like you're like, oh, darn it. Right. And then, you know what I do? I force myself to go back to 500. Right. So, but I'm doing it really just to exercise that, again, awareness of focus and giving myself the reflex muscle, so that we talked about earlier about getting into peak state, right? Like if you give yourself the reflex muscle of state change like that, okay, then when you're in a high stress situation or something has gone wrong, you have a team member come in the door like, oh my God, we just had vagrants like completely trash one of our properties and they ripped all the electric and pipe out and whatever. I've been in real estate for 20 something years, so I get it, right? And so everybody's like, oh my God, everybody's freaking out. If you have that reflex muscle to take yourself back to a calm state, right? Like you won't even try to go into the negative fray of all the stress of the moment, because you've given yourself this muscle that you love the benefit of and created almost a little secondary gain with, where you just like, boom, no, I want to stay focused and calm. So, meditation, if anything, if you're not having powerful insights from it, that's fine. You're still giving yourself that huge personal win, that neurological win, that creating the neuroplasticity of being able to jump right back to where you need to be.
I remember, so when I was trying out for the NFL, I got like one of those Muse headbands and everything,
Yes.
and was like using that to try and stay focused. That one was very interesting.
Yeah. So did
I
you
want to
enjoy?
talk about. I didn't like it.
No.
I
Okay.
I thought it kind of defeated the purpose because like I'd hear like the birds, and then I'm just like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I like the breath work more, just for the fact I can just lay down and go into that.
Mhm.
And then what else do I do? Float tanks are really good as well. The biggest thing is me finding it. I keep my recorder on when I'm in a float tank because again, like all those good ideas come from that because as entrepreneurs, like you don't really slow down. And
Yeah.
that's where all your best ideas come from is when you're doing that or whatever else.
For those that don't know, so float tank sensory deprivation, right? And I think that's just, again, it's that quieting down of everything. We just don't do that. We don't stop and do that. Yeah, love that. That's amazing. That's great.
Thank you. How hard was it to break in as an entrepreneur as a female? We are
Yeah.
having an entire board of Central Valley real estate investor females on Monday, not on Monday, in January for our meetup. Because
Nice.
like with that, and my significant other is going into it, and even as we're like calling storage facilities and she has to talk to brokers, she gets pissed because they don't treat her the same. When I hop on the phone, I'm like, all right, bro, like what's going on? Blah 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 blah.
100%. This is such a hot topic for me. Oh boy. So, so I will say, I'm going to talk both sides of it. I'm actually going to talk out of both sides of myself here for a second, because I have equal heat on both. One is that for all the women listening, there is a massive amount of power that you have being a woman. Okay. You first of all, the defenses are down, unlike a man. So you're already going to walk into a negotiation environment. They don't expect you generally to
So
be
hard.
a solid negotiator. They don't expect you to be decisive. They don't expect you to be the decision maker. There's a lot of really cool little advantages that you have. And also, as women, and men can argue this, I don't really care all day long, we are DNA, we are wired differently, emotionally and biochemically wired differently. That makes us highly intuitive creatures and naturally more empathetic than men. So
100%.
right, and we're detail oriented. Not to say that
Yep.
some men aren't. So when we go into a negotiating environment or a learning environment or teaching, whatever that is, we're actually able to get the point across faster and help bring people to a mediated equal level faster than most men. So I would say use the gifts that God gave you as a woman and not allow yourself to feel that you're or less able to do things as a man. Now, on the flip side, so I talk out of both sides. I 100% say, I agree with all the women that say it's harder. We do have to generally do a hell of a lot more than most men to be heard, to be recognized, to be considered equal, to be considered as a referral source, right? Especially in a very male-dominated end of the industry. So I've been in the investment end of the industry. I've been to things like IMN events where it was 97% attended by men. And of the 3% of the women that there, very, very few were there as principals. Most were there as the wife of or girlfriend of an attendee or working a vendor booth, right? So the men did not know what to do with me because I was there as a principal, and that kind of shocked a lot of them, right? So I get it, being in a very male dominated industry. I still myself, even in the performance space, will see a man with less background than me, he went and got a weekend certificate to be a hypnotherapist or something like that, and gets referrals as fast as me. Now, that to be said, regardless of the fact that there are some differences in that regard, it is still, you are at cause, all my women here, you are at cause to learn how to put yourself out there where you are heard, right? Where you are succinctly heard and respected for that. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't diminish your voice. Don't step down. Don't step back. Could you be labeled combative? Yeah, probably faster than a man will. Could you be whatever? Who cares, right? Because if you really care about your message, if you really care about what you're bringing to the world, then freaking bring it, right? Don't hold back just because you're a female. Don't allow yourself the messages of you're not good enough as a guy. Like, watch that language to yourself, right? Watch what you're saying to yourself, and where you're conceding that being a woman is more difficult and therefore you won't have as many advantages, you won't get hurt as much, you won't have as many opportunities. There are always ways around all that. So you are 100% at cause, right? So go do it. And I have much credit to a guru many years ago who gave me a hard tongue talking to about, I guess it was 14 years ago, if I recall, I was speaking on a stage. I'm short. I'm also a very short, little blonde person. So on top of being a female, and I would wear these real tall heels and pants that were too long for my legs on purpose, so I would look as tall as the guys on stage. And I was telling him, I said, man, it's just so hard. I'm like, anybody's listening to me, they listen to the guys. I'm just a buzzing bee. I'm just a token female. I'm not really here because they consider what I have to say valid. And he just stopped me on a dime. He says, you don't understand. That room is not expecting a female to know as much as you do, and you will blow them away if that's the way you come at it. But if you come at it as less, they're going to feel that in your language and your energy, and you're going to lose the power you have. So step into your power and be it.